All right, good afternoon, guys. Yep, it's about 2:02 where I am. It's 2 minutes after 2. I did promise that I was going to do my live at about this time. So here we are, attempting to interrogate processes, speak to issues. Please do me a favor of sharing this video. Let me thank everybody who's kept faith with us. Thank you. A lot has happened in 24 hours. And 24 hours in politics is a lot of time. So a lot has happened in 24 hours. And probably more will happen in another 24 hours. Or less or more, But Nigerian politics is dynamic. And Edo politics is particularly volatile. The Edo political space is particularly volatile. And it has been more volatile in the past 10 or so months. So please, let's get on board so we can interrogate issues. Let's get on board so that we can speak to issues and just talk it the way that we see it. Let me thank all of those who gave their candid advice when we came out with the poster that we're going to do a memorial rally. Some were critical of it, some approved of it, and some were not too sure as to whether we should go ahead with it or not. Please share this video. That is the very erudite Shedrack Kudubai watching. Please share this video so that I can get more people, we can get more engagements, because all that evil needs to triumph for good men to be quiet in the periods of violence and moral crisis. Yorubas have a proverb, they say, war. In other words, you don't have an elder in the market and picking where you put for back, in neck could bend. They will adjust the neck of the child for you without having to ask you whether they should adjust the neck or not. In this particular, Edo State is the child at the back, and the Edo State is at the back of the government of APC as led by Monday Okpebholo. So if the baby neck they bend for back, we're not going to ask the governor to adjust the baby's neck, because he holds governance in trust on behalf of the rest of us, and it doesn't matter our political coloration, whether you are PDP or APC or you are not aligned. Whoever is governor of the state holds power in trust, is in charge of our common patrimony. So we'll speak to issues, we'll criticize him, we'll extract his policies, programs, and his actions. We will even be concerned about the combination of clothes that he wears. If he's a bad dresser, I will tell him he's a bad dresser. Because uneasy lies the head that wears the crown and the face that bears the frown. All right, so we must speak to issues, because in speaking to issues, in getting the process, we're deepening democracy and we're helping the state to advance. If the state advances, it advances for our good. So nobody should look at those who are critical of government or those who are in oppositions as enemies. We are all equal contributors and equal stakeholders to the Edo project. We're all equal. It was Jero that said in his book, Jero's Metamorphosis, the trials of Brother Jero. He says, I am a prophet by birth and by inclination. This is my state. I have no other state to go to. I'm a free-born citizen of Edo State. So nobody is more Edo than me. Especially if those who are threatening hailstone and brimstone are not even aborigines of this state, in a manner of speaking. All right, so let's speak to issues. We've got to say the way that it is. We've got to, be, direct with it. We will not fear to negotiate, and we will not negotiate out of fear. Some of the things that we're going to be explaining today are some of the things that we told the director, the Department of State Security yesterday when myself and Shedrack were invited. And then we just spoke to the issues directly. A lot has happened in the last 24 hours. And I'm happy that many of you came to my DM and offered me personal advice. Some of your advices were not too palatable. And a couple of people, typical of your level of education or your upbringing, you are very good at throwing gutter language. You are very good at throwing brickbats. My father told me when I was very young that intelligent people speak to issues. Unintelligent people are the ones that will abuse you. They will leave the issues and will abuse you. Oh, fake pastor. Fake this. Go and face this. Go and face this. I don't bother. Lord Denning said the price for leadership is calumny and castigation. If you don't pay the price for leadership, you cannot pay that price of calumny and castigation, being misunderstood and abused. He said your chances of becoming a leader is slim. And if you become a leader without paying the price of calumny, castigation, and abuse, he says we have become a leader fraudulently. So we have taken it as a badge of honor for those who disagree with us, who abuse us, who rain curses us. It's a badge of honor. We wear it with pride, because there are those who have shied away from the system, who say they will not engage the system because they are afraid of being called names. In certain instances, some people are even extreme enough to be afraid of being, even attacked at the risk of our own personal comfort and keeping our personal space. We have stuck our neck out and we have said we must engage the process. The unfortunate thing is that those who called Governor Godwin Obaseki all manner of unprintable names, including Ogioba and all those kind of things, there was no name they didn't call him, are the ones who are intolerant now of criticism. They don't want to hear you say anything. I remember one of the instances when one of the guys took a rally in front of Government House and was daring Governor Godwin Obaseki to come down and come and address him if he will not do him something. Nothing happened, to him. But right now, you are even afraid of coughing, so to speak. People don't want to hear you cough. They want to reduce the political space. If you don't support APC, you don't support Monday Okpebholo, they want to consider you an anathema. They don't want to give you space to express yourself. But this is Edo State. And the death of every Nigerian affects me because I'm a Nigerian, I'm involved. Because I'm an Edo man, I'm involved. It was Odumegwu Ojukwu that made that statement. Because I'm an Edo man, I am involved. We must all be involved. The majority will have their say, have their way, but the minority must have their say. There are hallmarks of democracy. One of the hallmarks of democracy is free speech, freedom of association, freedom to express your views or not. And if you think that the things that I've said or my actions are ultra biased, you can't take the laws into your hand. The Nigerian police is there, the Department of State Security is there, and there are several agencies whose responsibility is to rightly and legitimately use force to correct any societal or individual anomaly. We cannot degenerate to the gutter where individuals will think that it is their responsibility to attack, even physically, those who differ with government. Very just now, you are in the positions of authority, but it won't last for too long. Very just now, there are people who have even been sacked by this particular administration. Some other people have been left redundant, and they are looking for how to be relevant. Many of them had abused several people. I helped some other people at the jugular, but they are the background and nobody is listening to them. That's why Chinua Achebe said, if you have been lucky enough for the spirits to crack your palm kernel, you should be humble about it. You shouldn't be arrogant about it. I've asked people, some of these guys who are threatening and doing this and saying this, where were they just barely 18 months ago? They were cowering somewhere. The ones I would respect were those who stood Obaseki to his face and spoke truth to power. Those are the ones that will respect. Not people who are in one corner waiting for their party to get into the positions of authority so that they can exhibit their animalistic, barbaric, their barbaric, animalistic upbringing. Those are I will respect the people who challenge Obaseki when Obaseki was there. And there are a few of them who challenged Obaseki when Obaseki was there. I respect the people who spoke up when Oshomole was there. Not people who kept quiet and all of a sudden, because you have political power. I said it before that strong men are not the ones who hide under police, who hide under government. And then you are threatening other people. Strong men are the ones who, even in opposition, can consistently speak out. If not for the support that government gives, if not for the backing that certain security agencies give, if not for the covering that certain people, there is no talk anywhere. That's why what we have is political talk. People who open their chest because of their affiliations to government. None of them can speak outside of government. Ask many of them, where were they before now? They were quietly somewhere. They were not making any noise. But because you have political power now, it's gaga, and you are threatening everybody. How many people, can you, even in the face of military, will they sing, how many people soldier go kill, hey, them go kill us? How much less to say individuals will get one head like you and I? Whatever you want to do, if the rally had held, people have said, oh, we got all kind of security information. Oh, they should shoot Olu Martins. They should do this. They should maim him. Some people even came out in the open And there are people who are quick to say, you know, Olu Martins, but you threatened other people too. And I've made it abundantly clear that we cannot have two laws. There can be a law for the opposition and then a law for the ruling party. There can be a law for APC and the law for PDP. About this time last year, a video came out where some unfortunate, regrettable statements came out of my mouth. And I'm glad that there are people who are watching. I'm glad that my lawyer, Dennis Osaitin, is somewhere. I'm glad that Shedrack Udubai is here. I'm glad that Solomon Idioba, a couple of people who I was in Protea Hotel when I was arrested. So I was arrested for those careless statements, and I admit that they were careless. I was arrested for it. I was detained for it. I was charged to court for it. I was granted bail. The same day I was granted bail, I was invited by the Department of State Security. I reported there the next day. I was drilled seriously as if I was a terrorist. Pictures of me were taken front, back, side. I filled more than a 10-page form consisting of questions, like a questionnaire format, more than 100 questions, including my favorite boxer that I like to wear when I want to have intercourse with my wife. They ask me questions as personal as that. I spent more than 10 hours in the DSS. All right, for those statements that came out in the video, 10 hours in the DSS. And I was reporting at the DSS office every Tuesday for the next 1 month. I couldn't travel far. I had to be at the DSS office 12 noon every day. That was the price I paid for those careless statements that, and unfortunate statements that appeared in that video. But today, the law, there appears to be people who are enjoying immunity, because the only person who has immunity in this state is the governor and his deputy. But are those who are talking carelessly, raking carelessly, threatening to break people's head, to break people's leg. Nobody has arrested them. So if you say, oh yes, Olu Martins, you don't have the locus standi to speak, I'm telling you, the Latin Martin say, ubi gis ibi remedium. When I made those statements last year, I was arrested. Even though it was PDP that was in office, I was still, even though PDP was in government at the state level, I was arrested, I was detained, I was going to court on a very regular basis until the matter was discharged off. But there are people who are making the same statements like that. Nobody is doing anything about them. Unfortunately, those who condemned me last year for those statements are the ones who are rejoicing, who are praising people who are making this kind of statements to them. I say, hey, now man you be, now man you be, now man you be. That's why I made in my preview, I say we're all hypocrites. All of us. Because if it does not favor us, it is bad. If it favors us, it is good. Nobody hates any corrupt politician. We only hate the corrupt politicians who are not from our villages. We only hate the corrupt politicians who are not favoring us. But the corrupt politicians who are favoring us, the system that favors us, we don't hate it. We are all hypocrites. So let me thank my fellow comrades, Ogbedo Ifaluyi, Honorable Shedrack Udubai, for not falling out, for not denying the process. We called off that program. Not because of any threat. No. Who says he wants to come and attack? He did not leave his head in the house. We have been in the trenches since 1999. I was declared wanted by the Nigerian police in 1999 as a 23-24-year-old student union president of the very ever rugged and dogged Ambrose Ali University. I was declared wanted as far back as 1999-2000 when Jimo Yekini was the commissioner of Edo State, now deceased, and Akai Zima was PPRO, who is now moved to the EFCC. That's when I was declared wanted. So we have been in this process for too long. So nobody should think that he's dealing with any soft meats and then you will just shout and then we'll run away. When Jungle was thick in the days of Adams Ali Oshomole, we stood as a stout opposition to him for 5 years without any funding, without any serious partnerships, except for the contributions of our leaders that we subscribed to then. And we stood firmly. We were going to channels, we were going to all stations many times with our own resources. So not be today, don't take where we meet strong. I by this year, by July, a few months ago, I was 51. So I have lived the better part of my life. The life we live now is the other lap of the life. I'm on the other side of 50. So if my fears have reduced. They have reduced drastically. If I die now, nobody is going to say he lived a fruitless life. Nobody will say he survived by nobody. Nobody will say so. There are records. I may not have done what I should have done, but I certainly have some things to boast for which people can say he came, he saw, and he conquered. So when we brought out the information that it was going to be a rally, it was not going to be a protest. We said on the 21st, which is on Sunday, we're going to gather at the Ring Road wearing sackcloth and ashes, as it is biblically prescribed. And a couple of people called me and told me that it was unnecessary. There was no need. Let's look at something more intellectual. Maybe a town hall meeting where we can come out with a document on electoral processes. That's what happened. And by the time we look at the preponderance of opinion, many of whom are friends, many of whom would probably have even liked to come for the outing. Well, when we saw that the majority of our friends and fans and members of the People's Democratic Party and those who love Asue Ighodalo, who voted for him, who may not be members of the People's Democratic Party, were not quite up to the program, we decided to cancel it. We decided to cancel it because in the multitude of cancel, there is safety. We didn't cancel it because some guys, were ranting. We know how to handle some of those issues. We canceled it because majority of people felt, it wasn't necessary to go out, like that. But I think that the greatest pain for some of us is that in the whole of the preparation and build up to when that program was brought in the open, we had no support from our own political party, Nobody from the People's Democratic Party called us as to say, this thing that you guys are doing, even though it favors the party in terms of visibility, from last year to now, save for the constant barrage of criticism that emanates from the quarters of Alberto Obaze, there hasn't been any critical build-up that has happened there. And then say for the constant analyzing of the thing that government is doing by Honorable Shedrack Kudubai, Obede Isibo Ifalo, and a couple of people. I had him even enlisted. In fairness, I had this ethnic bias for Monday Okpebholo. I felt, okay, you know what, this is my brother. All right, let me see how we can support him. But they say that when sand is too much in soup, even the blind man will know. And I just thought that there were too many unforced errors. And I'm worried. I'm worried because it is on the time of, this is the season, this is Asa timing, and the clock is ticking, the meter is reading. Whatever he does today, we count for us or we count against us. So he can't afford to do but excellently. He's not doing it he's not there on his own count. He's there because it's an Asa, it's the time for Asa agenda. Let's look at Professor Ambrose Ali. A lot of negative things in terms of being combated didn't proceed from his mouth because it looks like this governor is more interested in politicking than he is in governance, and we must guide him. We must help him because I'm an Asa man. His success is my success. I may want to contribute or to contest tomorrow. And somebody should be able to say, when an Asa man was there, this was what he did, this was what he did, and this was what he didn't do. That's why for more than 8 months, I didn't see anything. In fact, there are people who are accusing me. I remember Shedrack accusing me. I remember Albert accusing me. I remember a lot of people even telling me that go to APC. If you want to go to APC, go to APC. I had that soft spot for him to say, maybe I should help my brother, succeed. But when the complaints and things become rife, I also have the responsibility to guide him and say, you need to focus on governance. You need to leave the tendencies of the party chairman who has a proclivity for crisis and controversy and focus on developing Edo State, because in the final analysis, when the books of history are open, they will be open, and an Asa man was there, and this was the Asa. What the Asa man did when he was there? We already have the challenge of not having the required number in Edo Central. So what we can hold on to is sterling quintessential performance. Anything short of that, we will be further disadvantaged. So as a people, when we put our heads together, myself, Shedrack, Obede Isibo Ifalo, and then we saw that we're not getting any support from the party. Nobody was calling us. Even Dr. Asue Ighodalo didn't call once to say, okay, what is happening? Can we look at what you guys are doing? Can you reschedule? Can you re-strategize? And all this and that. Nobody called. He didn't also call. So we ask ourselves, can we cry more than the bereaved? Can we be more Catholic than the Pope? He's the head of the papacy. He's the #1 citizen of the papacy. If anybody must defend the doctrines of the Catholic Church, it should come from the papacy. And if the papacy is not defended, nobody has what it takes to defend it. So we looked at it and say, why should we put our heads in the guillotine when the dramatist personnel, the individual for which we are standing shorty for in a manner of speaking, have not shown any form of interest? So we said we were going to cancel it. Even as we speak now, even after canceling it, and after putting it out there that we were invited by the Department of State Security, nobody has called us from the People's Democratic Party. Some people think that I collected money for this program. I was talking to my friend Albert Obaze a few days ago, and I was telling him that I sent a message because I hate to agree. I am afraid to say that in all of this, that Albert may have been correct. Because my challenges are this. If you want to contest to govern a people, one of the things that happens to you is that you have an aspiration. And it was Archbishop Idahosa says, if you have a desire, no, not retire, but refire to acquire your desire. So, and if you didn't have the opportunity to govern, one would have thought that the least that anybody should have done, especially for somebody who has an aspiration, is to continue to engage the political process. This is why I will constantly respect Pastor Osage Ize Iyamu. He wins or loses election. He is here in the state, engaging the processes. For 5 years, Pastor Osage Ize Iyamu held the reins of opposition. His house was the gathering point, was the melting point, was the terminus aqua for all of us who were thirsty, all of us who were weary, and all of us who were tired. We usually would retire to his house unrestricted. At the minimum, you will have something to eat. You will have water to drink. But as it stands now, it looks like PDP is orphaned, in the manner of speaking, because there isn't a retiring point now. There's no place that you can go to. Nobody is sponsoring opposition. Nobody is sponsoring an opposition, and nobody cares. I mean, look at what is happening with Peter Obi. Like I hate to agree that all of this time maybe Albert had been correct. Look at what happened to Peter Obi. Peter Obi didn't win election, but he continued to engage the process. Because if you don't engage the process after you have lost election, you will start asking yourself, were you truly interested in Edo people, or you were just interested in the opportunity to lead? Because if the opportunity to lead was not given to you, it is weak people that look for positions. Real leaders look for opportunities, and opportunities to serve people, they abound everywhere. What we are doing in the opposition is an opportunity. There's no position. There's no official position for opposition. We are putting our little resources, we are putting our little effort to engage the process for the betterment of the Edo people. So, I mean, I had a conversation yesterday with Dr. Aswan Egudan, and I said, Oga, I have sent you. I said, greetings, sir. This is Sunday. If you can see it on the phone, I don't know whether the light is helping anything, but if you look at it, this is Sunday. Sunday, just the day before yesterday. To Sunday, just before the day before yesterday. I said, good evening, sir. I have sent you several messages on my engagement with Albert in my attempt to defend your person. He said, I haven't gotten as much as acknowledgement, how much less appreciation. And our leader, that is the gubernatorial candidate, just gave me 2 emojis. Hands up, hands up, hands up. Nothing more than that. I said, are you kidding me? That's all I deserve. Then I went for that to say, I recently put up a program to call to mind the robbery that took place a year ago. The DSS has called me several times to see them tomorrow. No senior official of the party has reached out to me, nor any member of my team. This is a program that should have kept, that will help keep the party and the events of last year in the minds of the Edo people. But at last, it looks like we are on our own. It looks like we're on our own, so we cancelled. And our dear leader, Dr. Aswe, just simply said, bro, did you discuss it with the chairman? I said, are you kidding me? So you're not talking about my security. No, but he didn't ask to say, why is the DSS interested in you? Let's first of all talk about your security. He didn't ask me that question. Even now that I'm out of the DSS, after the very humane interrogation, nobody has called me. You see, sometimes people will just leave political parties, and then people be wagging their tongues to say, hey, he wants to go to APC, he wants to do this, he wants to do that. Everybody is in politics for their own individual interest. The interest may be personal, the interest may be communal, the interest may be cultural, the interest may be religious, but there's something that you are looking for, there's something that you are protecting, there's something that you are fighting for, but there's an interest in it. When that interest is not being fed anymore, that's why people leave political parties. I'm telling you as we speak, I don't know if they have called Shedrako, because I can see that he's laughing. Maybe they have called him, but nobody has called me to say, how was your adventure with the DSS? Are you good? Are you okay? Because nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Nobody cares how much you know. And so if I can't get that kind of even comforting words from the leadership of our party, especially the dramatist personnel, the single individual for which we left our different homes and gravitated the length and breadth of Edo State, I was spokesperson for this party. I was arrested. I was detained. I was intimidated. I mean, a whole lot of things happened. So if we had died in the course of it, that's how our wives will have been orphaned and our children will have had nothing to hold on to, simply because we fought for a cause that we believed in, that the people that we fought for do not believe in. So I just thought, to share a few of our thoughts, to say this was why we called it awful. As we speak, nobody has called me, not one naira has come in to say, oh, for this, we were doing it of our own volition, to say, listen, man, we want to deepen democracy. We want to rattle the government, because since September last year, and then since October that it was sworn in, there's been no major activity, there's been no major entropy, no major movement from the political party that has rattled the government. This is the first movement. The only person who has been rattling them very seriously had been Albert. But on our own side, a lot of things have not, happened on our own side. So we said, let's put up an activity together. I mean, if you see a party, if you see individuals who take up initiative, the least you would expect is that the party will reach out to them to say, what are you guys doing? Okay, can you put the thing on our table so that we can examine it together? Because in the final analysis is to advance the cause of the political, party. So it is difficult for me to admit that all this time Albert had been correct about Dr. Asue. I still don't want to agree. But the truth of the matter is that if you had an ambition that you wanted to better the lives of the Edo people, and it didn't work out, the least that I think anybody should do is to continue to engage the political process. Nobody is funding opposition. I don't know whether they are funding other people, but as far as I know, there is no organized opposition as far as the People's Democratic Party is concerned. No organized opposition. Nobody is showing interest in the things that we're doing. We're doing it out of personal conviction and out of personal determination that this state deserves to move forward. This state deserves to advance in spite of the threats that we get. Nobody's even asking to say, how can you get protection? Somebody had called me to say, are you sure you will not relocate your family outside the shores of this country, or perhaps outside of Edo State, so that at the least when these things happen, as they will happen again, you don't have to worry about your family? And I've told them that every onlooker in the face of crisis is either a coward or a traitor. And I want to thank all of you who have shown care, genuine care. Even those of you who have abused us, it's all part of the process. Politics is a leveler. There's no permanent friend, no permanent enemy. What we have is a permanent interest, because it's only a ripe fruit that you can throw stones at. If we're not doing something that was making impact, nobody will notice us at all. But because we have gone out of our comfort zone to say nobody is more Edo than any other person, and many people who are, I can't even mention some of their names, who are raking, who are abusing, I can't mention their names because they're either far too junior in age or far too junior in terms of intellectual capacity. So how can I mention XYZ's name? How can I mention XY? They've called my attention to a video that some guy made and ate to the governor. I have not watched it till today. I'm too dignified to go to that level. No matter what you say in this development, or this political development that we have found us, I can't hate you. I can't disdain you. I can't become bitter. Instead, I will become better. Because anybody who criticizes you is actually your friend. Because according to Apostle Yunusa, go and verify. Now, friend, they tell friends, say, your mouth, they smell. So it is better that it's open rebuke than there is secret love. As a matter of fact, your critics are the unpaid guardians of your soul. People who are telling that your cloth is not straight, you need to iron it, are better off than bootlickers who surround you and are shouting, oh, Edo is shining, Edo is shining. The people who are criticizing you want you to succeed more. So this level of intolerance that the state has degenerated to is unacceptable as far as politics and democracy is concerned. And that's why we're asking the security agencies. We can't degenerate to the Obesian theory of might is right. It can't be, because at the end of the day, we are all going to be victims. Somebody is stronger than you. No matter how strong you are, even within that your APC, there are internal wranglings, and somebody is stronger than you. A tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye in less than 6 months, all of us will be blind, including the advocacies, the advocate of a tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye. It's a free democracy, and people must have a right to express themselves. If the way they express themselves is ultra biased, it's against the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution, there are institutions that have been rightly empowered to bring such book to power. Self-help is unknown. Self-help is unprescribed. Self-help is alien to democracy. And I'm repeating it again for those who may have come late to this broadcast, because people have constantly said, oh, last year you threatened people. And I said, the video came out. I was arrested. I was detained. I was charged to court. I was going to court regularly. I was reporting to the DSS office regularly. But there was no greater detainment that worried me more than the detainment of my conscience. I felt very sorry about it, because in my work on the political space from 1999 as Student Union President till that last year, I had never been known to make such volatile statements. I've always prided myself. I've always been proud of myself as an intellectual person who was well brought up, who was well trained. So till tomorrow, I feel truly sorry that those statements came out of my mouth. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 28 and 29. Let no evil communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good for the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearer. So maybe it's another opportunity to apologize to those who watched that video and who felt that the statements were beneath me. I truly feel sorry and sober about it, but we've got to move forward. We've got to engage the process. Democracy belongs to all of us. Today you are in power, tomorrow you are not in power. People who gloated and who misused power during the time of Adam Saliu Oshomole, during the times of Governor Obaseki, today are not in that position today. So let's be careful, because someday you will be on the other side. And those of us who have decided to embrace opposition, people must realize that it is a responsibility that we are giving ourselves. We can decide to be quiet. We can decide to face our private life. I've got a lot of things, working for me. I've got a beautiful wife that can occupy anybody for 247. Just that afterwards, all I must lay by. Because after spending time with your wife in the other room, there must be something to eat, because virtue will have gone out of you. I have 2 beautiful children who can keep me in my house. I have several other things that I can do. I'm fortunate to come out from a relatively comfortable family background. I've never farmed in my life. I've never had to hustle for school fees. I've never been thrown out of school. I've never lacked in my life. So at the end of the day, I have a family background that can still create a kind of loop or a safe landing for me. But we're doing what we're doing because nobody is more Edo than the other person, and nobody should pretend that he is more Edo than the other person. My parting words will be to the governor of Edo State. Dear Governor Monday Okpebholo, the chances are that you will see this video or that your people will brief you. So I want to make it pop and clean. You are an Onwine. You are an Esan man. This is the time for the Esan people. And whatever you do today, posterity will judge you rightly or wrongly. Those who are nudging you to go on, at the festival, when push comes to shove, they will say that when the Esan man was there, this is what he did, this is what he didn't do. You need to be very careful of the party chairman. Either consciously or unconsciously, he inflates the political space and aggravates issues for the political party. So you need to be careful. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to call his name. Everybody are going to call your name, because uneasy lies the head that wears the crown and the face that bears the frown. We want to be proud of you as an Esan man. So you must go out there to be fair to everybody, to give everybody equal representation. Edo North, Edo South, and Edo Center. These are my parting shots to you. And I'm concerned because I'm an Ishan man. And whatever happens will count either for me or against me. I want you to succeed, but I will not sacrifice my ethnic proclivity. I will not sacrifice my ethnic consanguinity. I will not supply, I will not mortgage the truth on the altar of ethnic proximity, because at the end of the day, people are not going to ask you whether you were contiguous to him or not. People will ask you, when you were there, what did you say or what did you do when you saw him erring? We are not enemies of this administration. According to Two-Face, as they see me, so I no send you. Oh. That one no mean say I know they wish you well. You. I may not be a member of the All Progressive Congress, but I want you to succeed. I want this government to succeed, because if you do road, they will not be termed APC roads. If you build infrastructure, they will not be termed APC infrastructure. The infrastructure that Governor Obaseki built are not termed PDP infrastructure. They are not termed Governor Obaseki infrastructure. They are termed infrastructure using the Edo people money. You are holding common patrimony in trust, billions of naira, and there are perks of office. You fly private jet. So if you fly private jet, you must be ready for private criticism and public criticism. You can't have billions at your disposal and have the perks of office of being guided day and night by heavy security, and then you're not also ready for heavy criticism. You must approach this job, sir, Your Excellency, the governor of Edo State, with a large heart. You must understand that everybody in Edo State, by extension or in particularity, are children, quote and unquote, and you are by privilege of opportunity and timing, you are the governor of Edo State. It behoves you, therefore, to govern as a leader and to do your best possibility. Please, best possible. Please not forget that the chief responsibility of a governor is to do greatest good for the greatest number of people within the shortest possible time. And those of you who are in opposition, who think that that is the end, or those of you who are in the ruling power, who have power right now, who think that that is the end of it. I remember an incident I had once with my best friend, who has been my friend for almost 3 decades now, and somebody was putting him under pressure that how can I be an enemy to the government at that time, Adam Saliu Oshomole, and he's there as a senior special assistant to government. That it was him that was giving me information. When push came to shove and there was crisis within the party, he was the first person to leave the APC at that time and join the PDP. Politics is dynamic. Politics is fluid. So as much as possible, play your game responsibly and ensure that you don't pull down the ladder that took you up. There's no point in making enemies with anybody. There's nobody who is my enemy. I don't notice anybody. Back in the days, myself and some of these guys had brows, but in the final analysis, we settled. And when we see ourselves today, we say, oh boy, how you doing? Hi, Tony Kabaka's house is on my way to church. And every time I see him, if we run across each other, I hail him. I say, hey. Some 3 or so years ago, or thereabout, Ebo Stone was a member of the APC before the government. I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago, before Governor Obaseki left. And there's a rally that we did together in Ring Road. And he was in charge of mobilizing, a major audience of people. And we worked together in that regard. At the end of the day, we are all Edo people. And the advancement of this state is what we are all interested in, whether you are in the ruling party or whether you are in the opposition. This is my humble logomaki this morning, and hopefully this logomaki is without logo apache. I want to thank everybody who participated. Too many names that I do not recognize. I imagine that some statements, some contributions are palatable, some are not palatable. That's fine. Really, that's fine. Because if you enjoy praises, you must enjoy criticism. So if there's anybody here who has said, oh, Olu, you are doing well. Oh, Olu, you are right on. I must also read the statement or the comments of those who are saying you're stupid, you're crazy. When you were there, it's like that. Success and failure are equidistant to each other. And you must have a large heart, not just to enjoy praises. If you enjoy praises without enjoying criticism, then there's something wrong with your self-esteem. Both of them should have no impact on you. That makes you a convincing man. If people praise you, do what you have to do. If people don't praise you, do what you have to do. Because a convincing man can convince other people. And a persuaded man can persuade other people. I'd like to close with the remarks of Archbishop Benson Idahosa. He says, I'm an inferior from the interior, but I'm appointed by the superior. We have a response. God has given some of us the capacity, the gift of God, the ability to string words together effortlessly. I must use it for the greater good of everybody who is around us. Who knows whether we are in the kingdom at such a time as this. 1 Corinthians 12:7, the gift of God is given to one man for the profit of all. I want to thank you, everybody, for your contributions hitherto so far. Thank you. I'm seeing different kinds of comments, many of whom I'll probably go to read, later and all that. But thank you all the same. All the contributions make us better people and not bitter people. Hopefully, we should have this opportunity to have this conversation again. Somebody should tell Mr. Common Sense that I'm coming for him. This conversation is not for him, but I will come for him because I watched his video and I didn't agree substantially with many of the things that he said in the video. But this day is not the day for common sense. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you. I think that Aswan is watching. I can see Porcupine. I can see Ambrose Seaborg. I think I'm seeing Chukudi Akpoton was somewhere. I can see a couple of names. I want to thank you guys. Please keep your comments coming. Please do not forget to share this video. Please share this video. That's the least that we can do. Like we say in our eatery, we always say that if the food sweet, tell other people. If the food no sweet, tell only us. Thank you, Peterson. Thank you, Silva. Thank you, a whole lot of it. Thank you, Shedrack Dubai. Now you they teach me how to talk. The only difference that probably my mouth is not as, my words are not as, fast as your own. Thank you, guys. Porcupine, if you are sitting in London, I prefer you goodbye for me. Well, anyway, thank you so much. I want to thank you. I want to thank Jacobian. I want to thank Solomon Idiogbe. I mean, these were the guys who went to, with me to the DSS office. And I must applaud the mature approach of the, DSS director and his team. They were very, very, they're experienced people. If they do anyhow tomorrow, we'll also call them. But yesterday, they were very professional. They were very amenable. And they showed that they have stake in the peace and in the advancement of Edo State. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We got to go off now. Albert Obaze, thank you. People think I'm going to have a problem with Albert. I can't have a problem with Albert, because somehow, even though Albert's style is unorthodox, but there's a bit that you can do about his fervor, about his energy, and about his depth. Albert seems to be like an unorthodox political prophet. Somehow, he sees these things from afar before he comes close. We'll do the analysis some other day, but right now, I've got to go pick my children, in school. I wish we didn't have to go off, but I think that it's about time to go for school run. So once again, I thank you, and I thank you. Assuming this is a presidential speech or a political or we're in office, we'll say, God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless Edo State. Oba Tokbe Ise.